The doorbell rang like a gunshot in the dead of a Brooklyn night, shattering the haze of my third whiskey sour. I stumbled to the door, wallet in hand, already fumbling for bills because fuck it. Tonight I needed this grease-soaked salvation more than air. And there he was, pizza box steaming in his grip, rain-slicked hair plastered to his forehead, green eyes locking onto mine like he'd seen straight through the bullshit I'd been drowning in all evening. "Large pepperoni with extra cheese," he said, voice rough as gravel, a smirk tugging at his lips that didn't match the exhaustion etched in his face. I shoved a crumpled 50 into his hand, way too much for a $20 pie, and muttered, "Keep the change, man. You just saved my sorry ass." He paused, thumbing the bill, then looked up with that same piercing stare. "Saved it? Huh? That's a hell of a tip." Before I could crack a joke to fill the awkward silence, he set the box down on my stoop, grabbed the hem of his soaked company polo, and peeled it off in one fluid motion. Water cascaded down his chest, tracing the lines of ink that snaked over his ribs. A wolf mid-howl, fierce and untamed. He tossed the shirt at my feet like it was nothing, chest rising and falling with a breath that fogged the chilly air. "Fair trade," he said, voice low, daring. "Now we're even." I stood there, frozen, the door half open, heart slamming against my ribs like it was trying to escape. Who the hell does that? In the glow of my porch light, he looked like some fever dream, broad shoulders, faded jeans clinging to his hips from the downpour, that tattoo begging to be traced. My mouth went dry, words tangled in my throat, and all I could think was, this is New York. This is insane. This is the start of something I can't walk away from. His name was Hunter. I learned later that night, after I'd stammered an invitation inside because the rain was biblical and my manners, or lack thereof, kicked in. He shook off like a dog, droplets flying, and dropped onto my thrift store couch without asking, cracking open the pizza box like we'd been roommates for years. "Dylan, right?" he said, glancing at the mail scattered on my coffee table. I nodded, still reeling, pouring him a glass of whatever rotgut was left in the bottle. We ate in silence at first, the kind that's heavy with unspoken questions. The city humming outside my third floor walk up like a beast that never sleeps. "So, what's the story?" he asked finally, wiping sauce from his chin with the back of his hand. "Guy tipping like a rock star on a Tuesday? You win the lottery or just get dumped?" I laughed, bitter and sharp, because damn if he hadn't nailed it. Dumped. Spectacularly. By the asshole I thought was endgame. The words spilled out easier than they should have about Mark, the corporate climber who'd promised forever in whispers over rooftop sunsets, only to ghost me for a promotion that took him to Chicago with some perky intern on his arm. Hunter listened, nodding like he got it, his bare torso still on full display because I'd been too chicken shit to suggest he put the shirt back on. Every shift of his muscles pulled my eyes back, unapologetic, and I hated how alive it made me feel after weeks of numb. "Mark's a prick," Hunter said simply, leaning back, one arm slung over the couch. "Sounds like he was playing house while you were building a home." Fuck that noise. His eyes met mine again, steady, and there was something there, raw, unguarded, that made the room shrink. We talked until the pizza was cold and the whiskey gone. About his dead-end delivery gig to pay for community college art classes, the foster homes that spit him out at 18 with nothing but a sketchbook and scars. He showed me a drawing on his phone, a stormy Brooklyn bridge, all jagged lines and shadowed depths, and I swear, it felt like he'd captured the chaos in my chest. By midnight, the rain had eased to a drizzle, but neither of us moved to leave. He stood, finally, stretching like a cat, and pulled his damp shirt from the floor. "Thanks for the tip, Dylan. And the company." His hand brushed mine as he took the empty glass, electric, intentional, and then he was gone, door clicking shut behind him, leaving me with the echo of his laugh and a pizza box that smelled like possibility. I didn't sleep that night, tossed in sheets that still held Mark's ghost, replaying the shirt drop like a loop in my head. Fair trade. What the hell did that even mean? By morning, I'd convinced myself it was nothing, a flirty nothing in a city full of them. But when I scrolled through my contacts later, half-buzzed on coffee, I found the number he'd scrawled on the pizza receipt. Hunter. Call if you need saving again. 555-0192. The text came at 2:17 a.m. My phone buzzing like an alarm I couldn't ignore. "You up? Shift's killing me. Need a real conversation." I was, of course, staring at the ceiling, Mark's last email glaring from my inbox like a fresh wound. "It's not you, it's us. Good luck, D." Bullshit. Pure, polished bullshit from a man who'd shared my bed for 2 years. I typed back before I could overthink it. Always. Where? Corner of Atlantic and Court. 10 minutes. Brooklyn's streets were a slick maze under sodium lamps, the kind of night where shadows play tricks and your heartbeat drowns out the distant sirens. I pulled on jeans and a hoodie. No plan. Just this pull in my gut like gravity shifting. Hunter was there when I rounded the corner, leaning against his beat-up Vespa, helmet dangling from one hand, the other nursing a cigarette that glowed like a firefly. Rain from earlier clung to the air, heavy and electric. "You actually came," he said, exhaling smoke that curled toward the stars we couldn't see. No surprise in his voice, just that smirk, half-cocked, knowing. He stubbed out the cig under his boot and nodded toward the bike. "Hop on. I know a spot." We wove through the empty avenues, his body heat seeping through my hoodie where I pressed against his back, arms locked around his waist like it was the most natural thing. The wind whipped my face, carrying the scent of wet asphalt and his cologne. Something woodsy, cheap but intoxicating. He killed the engine on a deserted pier jutting into the East River, the Manhattan skyline a glittering accusation across the water. We sat on the edge, legs dangling over the black churn below, sharing a thermos of gas station coffee that tasted like regret and redemption. "Tell me something real," he said after a while, voice cutting through the lap of waves. "Not the polished crap. What's the part of you that Mark never saw?" I hesitated, the question landing like a punch. No one had asked that, not like this, stripped down under the vast indifference of the city. "I paint," I admitted, voice small against the night. "Not professionally. Just walls, canvases, whatever. Abstracts. All blues and grays, like I'm trying to trap the ache inside." Felt exposing, saying it aloud, but Hunter didn't flinch. He just nodded, pulling a sketchpad from his backpack, dog-eared, filled with charcoal strokes that bled emotion. "Show me yours if I show you mine." He flipped it open to a page. Me, from 2 nights ago, captured in hurried lines, whiskey glass in hand, eyes shadowed but alive. "You looked like you were carrying the weight of the world. Beautiful, though. Broken's got its own kind of art." My throat tightened. No one had called me beautiful in months, not without strings. I traced the sketch with my finger, feeling the pull of him like a current. "Your trouble, Hunter," he laughed, low and genuine, leaning closer until our shoulders touched. "Only the good kind," and then, because the night demanded it, he kissed me. Slow at first, tentative, like testing if I'd bolt. I didn't. I leaned in, tasting coffee and smoke and the sharp edge of want, my hand finding the warm plane of his back where his shirt rode up. It was messy, urgent, the kind of kiss that rewrites your loneliness into something shared. We didn't go further that night. Just kissed until our lips bruised, talked until dawn pinked the horizon, about dreams deferred, the foster system's cold grip on his childhood, my parents' Bible Belt disapproval back in Ohio that sent me running to New York at 19. He was 24, a year younger than me, but carried scars that aged him. "I don't do labels," he said when I asked about the X's in his sketches. "Guys, girls, whatever feels real. But this," he gestured between us. "This feels like something." By the time we rode back, the city waking around us in honks and steam, I believed him. Stupidly, wholly. The next weeks blurred into a fever. Hunter's shifts ended with texts that lit up my screen. "Your place. Bring the whiskey." We'd collapse onto my couch, pizza boxes forgotten, hands mapping each other like uncharted territory. His body was a revelation. Lean muscle from hauling boxes all day, tattoos telling stories he whispered in the dark. The wolf for the pack that abandoned him. A compass rose on his hip for the directions he never got. I showed him my studio, a corner of my apartment cluttered with easels and half-finished canvases, and he watched me paint, silent, his presence a steady anchor. "You're fire, Dylan," he'd murmur, pulling me down onto drop cloths stained with cerulean and sienna, our bodies twisting in the afternoon light slanting through fire escape grates. Sex with him was different from Mark's polished routine, raw, playful, sometimes crashing into tears when the vulnerability hit too hard. He'd hold me through it, fingers in my hair, whispering, "I've got you. Let it out." But cracks showed early, if I'd looked. His phone would buzz during our nights, and he'd silence it with a curse, face hardening. "Work," he'd say, but his eyes dodged mine. Once, I caught a glimpse of a text, "Miss you. When you coming home?" from someone named Riley. I swallowed the jealousy, chalked it up to paranoia, Mark's ghost making me see shadows. We made it official over cheap tie on my fire escape, city lights winking like conspirators below. "Boyfriends?" I asked, half joking. Chopsticks paused midair. Hunter grinned, that wolfish flash of teeth. "Hell yeah. But only if you promise to tip better next time." We sealed it with a kiss that tasted like pad see ew and forever. Summer heat baked the asphalt, turning Brooklyn into a pressure cooker, but our bubble held. Picnics in Prospect Park where he'd sketch me napping against his chest. Late-night rides to Coney Island. Boardwalk ghosts under the cyclone's scream. Hands intertwined as we watched fireworks burst over the Atlantic. He met my ragtag friends at a dive bar in Williamsburg, Sarah, the queer poet with a buzz cut, ribbing him about his Pizza Prince origins. Jamal, my straight-laced coworker, clapping him on the back like a brother. They loved him. "He's good for you," Sarah texted later. "Real good." I started painting again. Really painting, vibrant strokes bleeding into the blues. Hunter's face emerging from the chaos in one canvas. All fierce lines and soft eyes. He hung it in his tiny studio apartment in Bushwick, a converted warehouse loft shared with 3 other artists, walls papered in sketches that screamed his soul. But the buzzes persisted. And the dodges. One night, after a particularly bruising shift where he'd come home limping from a Vespa wipeout, I pressed. "Who's Riley?" His face shuddered, like blinds slamming down. "Old friend. From back home." "Nothing. Home where?" Pushed, hating the whine in my voice. He sighed, rubbing his neck. "Philly. Foster brother. Sorta. We don't talk much." It was enough. For then. But doubt is a slow poison, seeping in when you're not looking. Fall crept in on crisp winds, leaves turning the parks into fire, and with it came the first real fracture. Hunter's community college semester ramped up. Life drawing classes that kept him out till midnight, charcoal dust on his jeans when he crawled into my bed. "Professor's a hard ass," he'd grumble. But his sketches improved, raw edges sharpening into something gallery-worthy. I encouraged it, dragged him to openings in Chelsea where he'd stand awkward in his best button-down, nursing a plastic cup of Chardonnay while critics cooed over abstracts that looked like emotional car wrecks. "You're wasting your time on pizza dough," I told him one night, curled against his side in the afterglow, city rain pattering our window like applause. "These are killer. Submit to that queer art collective in the village." He tensed, just a fraction enough to notice. "Art's a hobby, Dylan. Pays shit. And the collective? Not. Too. Exposed." Exposed how? I propped up on an elbow, studying his profile, the jaw set like concrete. He rolled away, pulling the sheet up. "Just. Not my scene." "Drop it." I didn't. Pushed too hard the next week, emailing the collective on his behalf with scans of his Wolf series, feral men in urban wilds, eyes haunted by unspoken hunts. They bit. Hard. An invite to a showcase. Spotlight on his name. I sprang it on him over dinner at this hole-in-the-wall Italian joint in Carroll Gardens, candles flickering between us like secrets. "Hunter. They're obsessed. Opening next month. This could be it, your break." His fork clattered against the plate, face paling under the marinara glow. "You what?" Without asking me. It was a sure thing. I thought. "You thought wrong." He shoved back from the table, chair scraping like nails on chalkboard. "Art's mine, Dylan. Not some ticket out of the gutter you get to punch for me." The restaurant hushed, eyes on us like spotlights. "I'm sorry," I whispered, reaching across. "I just want you to fly." He snatched his jacket, voice cracking like thunder. "I don't need your wings. I need you to trust me." And he stormed out, into the autumn chill, leaving me with cooling pasta and a bill for 2. He didn't come over for 3 days. Radio silence, except a single text. "Need space. Don't push." I paced my apartment, painting feverishly, blacks and reds now, anger slashing across canvas like accusations. Mark's betrayal echoed in the void, always trying to fix what's not broken. Was that me, sculpting Hunter into my ideal, blind to his edges? On the 4th day, my buzzer screamed. I yanked the door open, expecting apology, but it was Sarah, eyes wide, thrusting her phone at me. "Dylan, you gotta see this." Instagram. Some art gossip account. Hot new queer talent Hunter Kane spotted cozying up at Philly gallery opening. Who's the mystery guy? Art scene T. The photo blurred him in the background, arm slung around a broad-shouldered blonde, Riley, unmistakable from the one glimpse I'd stolen. Smiles easy, intimate, like history woven tight. My stomach plummeted. Foster brother, sorta. Bullshit. I scrolled, heart hammering, tagged posts from months back. Riley's feed a shrine to my wolf, captions dripping nostalgia. Hunter's comments, hearts, fire emojis, miss this, miss you. I called him, voicemail after voicemail, each more desperate. What the fuck? Hunter, Philly? While we're, silence answered, a void that swallowed me whole. He showed up at dawn on day 5, looking like hell, bags under his eyes, Vespa helmet clutched like a shield. Dylan, listen. No, I blocked the door, voice steel despite the shatter inside. You lied. Riley's not some old friend. You're still, whatever you are with him. His face crumpled, green eyes storming. It's not like that. Riley's complicated. We grew up together, survived shit no kid should. When I left Philly, he took it hard. Texts are just checking in with arm around photos, while you're here, in my bed, calling me boyfriend. The word tasted like ash. He stepped closer, voice breaking. I ended it with him months ago. Before us. But yeah, I dodged because I didn't want to drag that mess here. You think I don't feel this? He grabbed my hand, pressing it to his chest. Heartbeat wild under my palm. You're in my veins, Dylan. Scary as hell. I yanked away, tears hot. Then why hide? You let me build this castle on sand. Because I'm a fuck up, he roared. Raw, echoing down the hall. Foster kid. No roots, everything I touch breaks. Riley was safe. Familiar. You're the real thing. And it terrifies me. We stood there, breaths sinking in the wreckage, until I stepped aside. Come in. But no more ghosts. He did. We talked for hours. Whiskey loosening tongues, his Philly years spilling out. Shared foster home horrors. Riley as the anchor in the storm. A fumbling first love that blurred into habit. I ghosted him clean when I met you, Hunter swore, head in hands. But he won't let go. Calls it family. I forgave him, or tried, sealed it with a kiss that tasted of salt and second chances. The art showcase? He went, reluctantly, my hand in his under the gallery lights. Critics buzzed, buyers circled, and for a night, he shone, my wolf, untamed and triumphant. But Riley's shadow lingered, a chill in the winter winds that followed. Winter clamped down on New York like a vice, snow piling the stoops and turning breaths to ghosts. Hunter's art took off, sold 3 pieces at the showcase, enough for a solo exhibit planned for spring at a Soho spot that smelled like money and validation. He quit deliveries cold, trading pizza boxes for paint-splattered overalls, coming home to me with flecks of cobalt in his hair and a grin that lit the dim apartment like Christmas. This is us, Dylan, he'd say, spinning me in the kitchen, our laughter bouncing off peeling wallpaper. We made it. I believed it, built on it, landed a freelance gig illustrating book covers for a queer romance imprint. My abstracts morphing into lovers' embraces that echoed our own. We hosted Friendsgiving in my cramped space. Turkey charred but spirits high. Sarah reciting bawdy poems. Jamal spiking the eggnog. Hunter sketching caricatures on napkins that had everyone howling. He fit, seamless, like he'd always been the missing piece. But Riley wouldn't fade. Texts escalated to calls Hunter ignored, then voicemails that leaked through speakerphone one snowy afternoon. Hunt, baby, come home. New York's chewing you up. We were good together. His voice smooth, pleading, laced with that Philly drawl that twisted my gut. Block him, I said, voice tight, as Hunter deleted the message with a sigh. Tried. He gets new numbers. It's pathetic. It's stalking. I shot back. But he waved it off family loyalty. He called it eyes distant. I let it slide, buried in the holiday rush, dragging him to the Macy's parade, where we kissed amid the floats like extras in a rom-com. Ice skating at Bryant Park, his hands steadying my wobbles, laughter freezing on our lashes. Christmas Eve, we splurged on a tree from a Koreatown lot, scrawny, lopsided, strung with dollar store lights that blinked like Morse code for love. He gave me a necklace, a silver compass pendant, etched with Find Your North. You're mine, he whispered, fastening it, lips brushing my collarbone. I gave him a leather-bound sketchbook, pages thick as promise. Fill it with us. We made love by the tree's glow, slow and sacred, his body a map I knew by heart, every tattoo, every scar a verse in our story. Afterward, tangled in sheets, he traced the pendant on my chest. Dill. What if I told you about the exhibit money? I murmured sleepy assent, nuzzling closer. Enough for a down payment. Tiny place in Bed-Stuy. Ours. My eyes snapped open. You're serious. Dead serious. No more walk-ups. A home. Joy surged. Hot and blinding. We dreamed aloud. Kitchen big enough for two. A studio wall we could knock out together, until his phone shattered it, buzzing insistent from the nightstand. Unknown number. He silenced it, but the spell cracked. The new year dawned with Riley's hammer blow. I came home early from a client meeting January 7th, air biting like regret, to find Hunter on the couch, head in hands, Riley's voice tinny from the speaker. Can't keep pretending. That guy's using you. Hunt. Come back. I'll wait. Hunter startled, fumbling to end the call. Dylan, shit. I didn't hear you. Who's using who? The words clawed out. Venomous. It's nothing. He showed up unannounced yesterday. Crashed on the fire escape. I sent him packing. Here? In our city. Rage boiled. Visions of blonde entitlement invading our sanctuary. You let him. He was drunk. Lost. What was I supposed to do? Shove him into traffic. Block him. Change your number. Something. Paste. Necklace suddenly heavy as accusation. Or is this your out? Philly boy playing house till the itch hits. His face twisted. Hurt flashing green. Fuck you. Dylan. You think this is a game? I chose you every day. I choose. Then prove it. The challenge hung. Desperate. He grabbed his jacket. Voice shattering. Maybe I need to prove it to myself first. Door slammed. Echo chasing him into the blizzard. He vanished for 2 days, radio silence. Friends clueless. I painted through the panic. Canvases weeping black tears. Compass spinning useless on its chain. Sarah crashed on my couch. Force-feeding me takeout. He's scared. Trauma doesn't vanish with a boyfriend. On day 3, a knock soft, hesitant. Hunter, snow-dusted, eyes red-rimmed. I went to Philly. Faced him. My heart seized. And Kicked his ass out for good. Told him we're done, all of it. Family, friends, whatever. I'm all in, Dylan. With you. Relief crashed, pulling him inside, our bodies colliding in a frenzy of need and forgiveness. But in the quiet after, as he slept against me, I glimpsed his phone. A new text, Riley's number spoofed. You think you can erase me? Watch. Dread coiled, but I pushed it down. Spring was coming. Our home. Our future. Spring unfurled in tentative greens. Cherry blossoms dusting the sidewalks like confetti for fools in love. Hunter and I signed the lease on the bed-stewy brownstone slice. A 2-bedroom with creaky oak floors and a bay window begging for easels. Moving day was chaos. Boxes teetering on dollies. Sarah directing traffic with a megaphone app. Jamal hauling furniture while blasting Motown. Hunter paused mid-lift, sweat slicked and grinning, to kiss me against a stack of canvases. Ours, he breathed. And it was. The solo exhibit loomed, April 15th. Hunter Kane's Urban Howls at the Soho Gallery. Posters plastered on lampposts from Williamsburg to the Village. He poured himself into it. Nights blurring in the new studio we'd carved from the second bedroom. Turpentine sharp in the air. I'd watch him work, brush in hand, body arched like a bowstring, and think, this is healing. This is us winning. Riley's texts tapered to drips, blocked numbers, vague threats that Hunter deleted without a word. Water under the bridge, he'd say. But tension wired his shoulders, a subtle flinch when his phone pinged. I ignored it, focused on building weekend markets in Fort Greene, haggling over vintage lamps, lazy Sundays painting murals on our bedroom wall, his wolves prowling into my abstracts, merging our worlds. The opening night arrived like a storm front, gallery buzzing with collectors in slim suits, air thick with perfume and pretense. Hunter stood in a tailored black shirt that hugged his frame, tattoos peeking at the collar, shaking hands with poise that masked his nerves. I hovered nearby, champagne flute in hand, beaming as bids climbed on his pieces. Sold, the curator announced for the centerpiece, a massive wolf mid-leap, eyes locking on a shadowed lover across a fractured skyline. 5 figures. Life-changing. You did it, I whispered later, pulling him into a shadowed alcove as applause swelled. His kiss was fierce, triumphant, hands framing my face like I was the real masterpiece. But midway through, as flashbulbs popped and glasses clinked, a ripple cut the room. Heads turned toward the door, murmurs rising like smoke. Riley, tall, blonde, sharper than in photos, suit crisp as a threat, striding in like he owned the shadows. His eyes found Hunter across the crowd, smile slicing cold. Hunter froze beside me, color draining. What the? Riley approached, voice smooth as oil. Hunt. Knew you'd shine. Congrats. He extended a hand, but it lingered too long, gaze flicking to me with predatory pity. This your muse? X, Hunter clipped, stepping forward, body a barrier. Leave, Riley chuckled. Lo. X? That's rich. After all he glanced around, voices hushing. You ghosted me, man. For this, a nod at me, dismissive. The room held its breath. I felt exposed, raw, the necklace burning like betrayal. Security, I muttered, but Hunter waved me off. It's done. Riley. Go. Riley's facade cracked, eyes flashing hurt, then venom. Done? You think Elise and some pretty pictures erase Philly? The nights we survived. His voice rose, cracking. You're running again. Hunt. From real. From us. Gasps rippled. A collector whispered. Drama. Hunter's face shattered. Fury. Grief. Love's ugly underbelly. Real was poison. You clung like a curse. Riley lunged. Not violent but desperate. Grabbing Hunter's arm. Fight for it. Then. Like before. Hunter wrenched free. Voice a roar that silenced the gallery. I am fighting. For him. For us now. He turned to me. Eyes pleading amid the chaos. Dylan. But Riley wasn't done. Ask him about the letters. He spat. Loud enough for echoes. The ones he wrote me last month. Can't do this anymore. Miss you too much. Lies? Truth? The room spun. My vision tunneling to Hunter's ashen face. What letters? Hunter paled further. I didn't. Riley smirked, pulling a folded paper from his pocket, creased, ink smudged. Burned most. But this? Proof. He tossed it at our feet, turning on his heel as security finally materialized, escorting him out amid murmurs turning to scandal. The gallery emptied slow, whispers trailing like knives. Hunter knelt for the paper, hands shaking, but I snatched it first, words blurring through tears. Riley is killing me. New York's a lie. Come get me. Dated 3 weeks ago. Hunter's scrawl unmistakable. You wrote this. Not a question. Accusation. His eyes met mine. Broken. Draft. Never sent. Therapy exercise confronting the pull. I burned them. Dylan. All but this one he must have stolen. Stolen? Or you left it for him. Doubt poisoned me. Mark's ghost laughing. While I planned our life? No, he reached. But I recoiled. You chose. Hunter. Again. I fled into the night. Soho streets a blur of neon and nausea. Compass spinning wild. He texted, please. Coffee shop on Houston. Now. I went, because love's a masochist. He was there, wrecked, shirt untucked. I storming. It's not what. Show me. I slid the paper across the scarred formica. Truth. He exhaled, ragged. After you forgave me last time, I started seeing a counselor. Queer Youth Center. Homework. Write the unsent letters. Purge the hold he has. He met my gaze, unflinching. That one's the last. I kept it as a reminder of what I don't want. What I almost lost. Almost. The word cracked me open. Lost you tonight. Tears tracked his cheeks. Unashamed. Riley crashed the exhibit to break us. He admitted it outside, jealous, unhinged. I told him goodbye for good. Police reports filed. I searched his face, seeing the boy from Philly, the wolf I'd fallen for, flawed, fierce, fighting. Why not tell me? Fear, simple, shattering. Of losing you to my mess. The coffee steamed between us, a fragile bridge. You're my mess, I whispered. But no more secrets. No more. He took my hand, compass glinting. North is you. We walked home at dawn, arms linked against the chill, gallery scandal fading to footnote. Riley vanished, restraining order, a clean cut. Summer bloomed, Our brownstone a haven. Murals complete. Hunter's next series found packs. Wolves entwined in light. Years later, at our commitment ceremony in Prospect Park, Oaks whispering blessings, Sarah officiating with vows laced in poetry, we laughed about the pizza tip that started it. Shirtless savior, I teased, compass at my throat. He grinned, green eyes eternal. Best tip I ever got. In the end, it wasn't perfect, no story is. But it was human, scarred, stubborn, achingly real. And in New York's endless roar, that was enough.